Many generations now, we have suffered. The Washichu we spoke to, but they don't hear. They're deaf. The women, the children, the old ones, they suffer. You from the cities, you are our warriors. Our warriors. They're deaf. We must now walk in the sacred way.
Scripture again, Deuteronomy 24:7, because it's a mouthful. If a man be found stealing any of his brethren of the children of Israel, and maketh merchandise of him, or selleth him.
And you had other wicked Indians that was going out collecting on those bounties as well. Right. Scalping other Indians and bringing those bounties in. The white man was the one that progenerated the scalping event. Okay?
That's right.
That movie Geronimo, the one with Wes Studi and Robert Duvall, showed you that, and Gene Hackman. Geronimo, an American legend. There was a scene where they were chasing Geronimo, and Gatewood and Seaver, they had Shadow, which was the Chiricahua scout that was with them. They were down in Mexico looking for Geronimo. They went into this little cafetina, a little cafe or a bar, and they had these crackers from Texas that came in.
Copas.
Sí, señor.
Buenos dias. I didn't expect to see many Americans down here. Where you fellas from?
Texas. I keep a house in Brewster County.
Awful far from home, ain't you?
Well, we just came down here, try to make ourselves a living. And what about you, friend? It seems like you got a real curious nature. You the law?
Me? No, hell no. I'm just hunting that son of a bitch, Geronimo. Thought you might have come across something to help me out.
I'm sorry, amigo. We ain't seen nothing.
Apache.
Why don't you sit down here while we have us a drink? We take real good care of you.
Cover my back. Anything happens, fire. And keep firing. Sure. Well,
It's them. That Apache is with us.
Don't look like it to me.
He's a sergeant of scouts in the United States Army.
Who the hell are you?
Charles Gatewood, Lieutenant 6th Cavalry.
You boys are out of uniform. Maybe he ought to wear one. Somebody down here took that scalp of his. Make themselves a little money.
10 days ago, we came across a Yaqui village. All the Indians slaughtered.
We come across the same type of thing a while back. I tell you, this is a crazy country.
$100 buys that scalp back.
Nice doing business with you, Mr. Gatewood. But I changed my mind.
You rotten son of a bitch.
Amigo. Move it, Dixie boy.
And they were going around scalping any Indian they came across and saying that, because there was a high bounty on Apache scalps at that time because of Geronimo, or the Apache were really hated in the Southwest. So Shadow was in there. Them crackers from Texas, the Texans, they actually had a native with them, a Comanche Indian with them that was helping them go around scalping other Apaches, man. Now, you being a Native American yourself, how could you get with some crackers and go around scalping other Indians? But he was doing it, so that was going on as well.
Hell yeah.
For gain, for monetary gain, man.
Monetary gain.
Okay, come on, brother. Let's go back into more of the information.
Okay, now I got another article on scalping. Let me see. Let me get my bearings.
Okay, no problem, no problem.
Okay, I was reading that one.
Okay, because we're gonna bring all this information out, man.
All right, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay, let's come on with it as you're ready.
Okay, this is scalping by Diane E. Folds. It says in the heading here, historians suggest Indians were as much victims as perpetrators. In other words, it says who scalped whom. The idea of a settler scalping Indians might seem like a historical quirk. Most Americans assume that if there was any scalping going on in the colonial times, the Indians were doing it, not the English. But the truth, it turns out, is more complex. In an era where Indian nicknamed teams are under fire and even the meaning of Thanksgiving is being reevaluated by Native Americans, the very word scalp has become culturally loaded and the origins of the practice increasingly controversial. If one thing is certain, however, it's that Hannah Duston was no fluke. Americans certainly scalped Indians during the Revolution and after, says Colin Calloway, who teaches history at Dartmouth College. They also stripped Indian corpses of skin. Stripped Indian corpses of skin.
Mutilation of the bodies of our people. Mutilation.
Yep. They showed that in the movie Young Guns. Remember Young Guns 2 when it was an Indian burial ground?
Yeah.
Oh. Burial ground. Warm Springs people. Apache.
We better get going.
We'll go around.
Wait, so, Chavez, why don't you go peck shit with the chickens, huh? You know what they're paying for Apache bone in Silver City right now? Christ almighty, they're making ashtrays, they're making combs, they're making knife handles. You get 50 cents for a good Indian leg bone. It's all out there, so don't you go getting sentimental and all that, all right? Come on.
You go in there, smart gringo, and I'll bury you there.
Okay.
Let's go.
Come on. Yeah. Come on. Oh. Woo. Silver City, here I come. No! No! I don't think so, Dave.
That Mexican Indian may have lost his family, but he hadn't lost a trick when it came down to an old-fashioned pick-sticking match.
You want your knife back?
Yeah. And Dave, well, he appreciated the value of fair play, but he also appreciated the value of a good bone-handled knife. And we were going around that cemetery, I promise you.
Thank you.
And he said, "Man, we can get 50 cents for Indian bones." He went to go defame it, and then my man Lou Diamond Phillips, who played the Mexican Indian,
who played the character,
hit him with the knife.
Yeah, who played the character of Chavez.
Chavez, right? He played
who was so-called part Apache. No, he wasn't Apache. He wasn't Apache. He was Navajo. He was part Navajo, part Mexican.
Right.
Which the Mexicans are Indians anyway. The word Mexican is an Aztec word that means Mexica.
Mexica.
Okay.
We're known as the Mexica tribe.
So he was an Indian all the way around.
That's right.
He was part so-called Aztec and part Navajo. I believe his father was an Issacharite and his mother was a Gadite. Okay, so he was so-called Native American anyway. Chavez. Okay?
In the movie Young Guns.
That's right. Lou Diamond Phillips played the part.
And the scene I'm talking about is from Young Guns.
Christian Slater played the cracker that was riding with him, and he wanted to defile the sacred burial ground and pull up bones to go make money. So not only did they want to take our scalps, they went into burial grounds and there was money for bones. They hated, that was how much hatred that was out there for the so-called Native Americans all throughout this country.
Hell, as a matter of fact, I gotta make mention of this. There's a documentary out called The Trail of Tears by a Gadite brother from out west named Chip Ritchie. And in there, he shows how the Edomites were having town hall meetings around different towns in America, and they were changing the Gadites' birth certificate to say Negro instead of saying Indian. Instead of saying Native American or Indian, they changed it to say Negro. And a lot of the Gadites didn't know this was going on. They would have meetings in the town hall, and they would physically go and change records on birth certificates, and from Indian to say Negro.
Yeah, and the reason that's called genocide by paper.
Because of generations of prejudice and denial, much of the public and sometimes the personal memory of black Indians has been erased by those who write history and sometimes by those who live it.
At that time, there was a lot of people that was using what we call pencil genocide. In other words, they were changing documents in the town halls and this and that, and unless you had some question about it, you didn't even know it. So, for example, in my dad's family, my Aunt Marion, my Aunt Josephine, and my Uncle Louis were down as Indian, Uncle Lawrence and my father were down as black. My mother's birth certificate, she was born in on Cogswell Street, which is Pawcatuck, Connecticut. And the doctor, knowing that she wasn't black, naturally, because he was very well familiar with the Babcock family, put her down as white. And a lot of us were put down as white just so we would not have that stigma of being black.
I call it like erasing the ancestors, or even erasing us. They just want to erase until they get to the point where, you know, you can look and, oh, look, there's Indian Road and Sachem Street, and, you know, there's nothing left but the street signs and some cigar store Indian.
So that's why down the road a lot of people who are native couldn't claim native, or down the line claim some kind of, well, really that was done so that they wouldn't have to acknowledge treaties. So that later on certain tribes couldn't regroup themselves and say, look, we want to bring you to trial, or we want to reclaim this particular land that belongs to our people. Well, you can't. You're not Indians. According to this, you're niggers. It says in your birth certificate you're a nigger. Yep. So how can you claim rights, treaty? How can you call treaty rights when you're not Indians? You see the trick in that? Yep. That's what's happening today. A lot of these tribes, they know they're native by their family and stuff like that, but on paper it says your grandfather was a Negro. Yep. See? So you're black. You can't claim any. You can't call up on any treaty rights to discussion. You cannot call treaty rights up to discussion because you're not Indian. See?
But then you got these fucking red fucking devils wearing the headdress and wearing the regalia at the fucking powwow, and they have nerve to look at me and this brother and say you're not Indian. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
They look at you like there's something fucking wrong with you, you fucking pieces of shit.
Yeah. What up at the casinos? Up at not Foxwoods, Mohegan. If you go to the Mohegan Sun Casino and you walk inside, right in the entrance, when you look on the wall, there's a picture of the tribal council. And I want to say this straight up and down. There's only one guy on there in the picture who actually looks like he could be native. Everybody else looks like straight up crackers with three-piece suits on. Mm-hmm. Okay? Yep. Those are crackers, but on paper, you know, they set it up to where these crackers could get a casino going and federally recognized. That's called trying to genocide the real Indians out of the picture, man. The real Gadites.
By way of records, doing it as far as with records.
Genocide by paper, or genocide by pen. That's called genocide by pen. The so-called white man's been doing that to our people for generations. But you know what? It doesn't make a difference. They could do that. It's all going to come to naught anyway. Because America's going to be destroyed any goddamn way. With the casinos and all that madness and all your treaties, that's all going to burn up anyway, man. At the powwows, that's all going to burn up anyway. All them drums and feathers and all that shit's going to burn up, man. In America. So it's all going to be to no avail anyway. And the Native Americans are going to come back to being Israelites any damn way.
That's right.
You're going to acknowledge that you're an Israelite. You're not no Native American. That you're really from the tribe of Gad or Reuben of the nation of Israel, man.
That's right. You're
going to come back to acknowledging who your true power is. Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. Not Tukashla. Not Adanachdo. Okay? Not Yusin. Which the word Yusin really goes back to the name of the Most High anyway. Because that's really all Hebrew. That proved that the Native Americans are Israelites because the Apaches, they called the Most High Yusin, which really goes back to Yahweh. Okay? Which is the name of the Most High. Okay?
It says, New England is littered with evidence if you know where to look. Some 35 miles north of the Hannah Duston statue at New Hampshire's Rumney Rest area off Route 25, a discrete historic marker reading Baker River tells of Lieutenant Thomas Baker and his scouting party, whose 1712 raising of a nearby Pemigewasset Indian village earned a scout bounty of 40 pounds sterling from Massachusetts colonial authorities. The deed earned Barker a promotion to captain and a namesake river. In the museums around the region, actual scalps were still available for viewing as recently as the 1980s.
You see it? So it was the so-called white man that progenerated this whole thing of the scalping. But once again, being the devil as more so-called present times came in, they flipped it and they gave us the stigma of being the scalpers.
Right.
By way of Hollywood, which Hollywood goes back to witchcraft, okay? Hollywood, it all goes back to putting spells, casting spells on people to make you believe things that are not true. And those old John Wayne movies, Indians, watch out for your scalp, the Indians are coming. When it was the so-called white people that started the scalping. We picked it up and we gave it back to them as a way of just getting back at you. And we perfected it.
Yeah.
We did. Indians scalped people, but it was only because the white man started scalping us first. And you know what? It was one of my uncles who even taught me that years ago. He said, yeah, people say that we were scalping the white man. They started scalping us first, so we started scalping them back. And my uncle, one of my uncles told me that, who's passed on now. He said they ripped out women, my uncle, Chief Sitting Son. And then he said they ripped out women, so we started ripping their women back. But rape wasn't something that was normally practiced by Native Americans. Okay?
It was done in the thing of retaliation.
It was done in the way of retaliation.
Defame our women and fuck you, motherfucker.
So we said we're going to do it back to you, as an insult to you, as payback. We believed in revenge. We believed in payback. If you killed one warrior, if you killed one Native American, our thing was to go back and kill 3 whites. Okay?
I'm going to read it again. In museums around the region, actual scalps were still available for viewing as recently as the 1980s. Museums with scalps in their collections included Harvard's Peabody Museum of Archaeological and Ethnology, the Fort Ticonderoga Museum on Lake Champlain, and the Robert S. Peabody Museum of Archaeology in Andover, that's Andover, Mass.
And these are actual museums that you could probably go visit still to this day.
Yeah.
Where Native American scalps are actually still on display to this day. Why would the white man do something like that?
It's totally documented, and they got it in a museum. They got it in a museum, so they made total fucking mockery and merchandise of us. And you people got the fucking nerve to talk about some love. Yeah, we gonna love taking and raping your woman. We're gonna love fucking you goddamn devils up. We're gonna love scalp. We're gonna bring that scalping back.
Oh yes.
We're gonna bring it back. We're gonna torture your fucking asses.
And we're gonna scalp your women just like you scalped our women. Okay? That's gonna actually happen. That's a fact. That's reality, man. We read the scripture. The scripture said what? We'll close it out with that. But was there more information?
Oh yeah, there's more. There's more I could read into to give you so we can touch on it.
Okay, well let's go.
I'm gonna read through it. It says, then in 1990, the federal government passed the Native American Graves Protection Repatriation Act. Now wait a minute. In the 1990s, they had to pass an act to protect Native American graves. We was talking about the movie Young Guns.
That's right.
Where they showed the character played by Christian Slater went to defame an Indian burial ground to get the bones to sell them. They were giving them 50 cents for the bones, which back at that time in the West, that was a lot of money. 50 cents was a lot. If you made $2 a week back then, you was doing it. You was motherfucking doing it. That was a lot of money back then. 1990, the federal government passed the Native American Graves Protection and
that's like 24 years ago.
Yeah. Repatriation Act, which mandated the return of sacred Indian artifacts and of remains. As museums combed through their collections, they found scalps that were...
Which goes to show you the so-called white man's a hypocrite, because as we speak right now, the skull of Geronimo sits right here in Connecticut, up in Yale College.
And the
Apaches know that. The Chiricahua Apache band to this day is still protesting for the return of Geronimo's skeleton. So why don't they return that?
Fucking pieces of shit.
See? Because they're devils, man. Read on.
Some even had documentation identifying the scalp takers as colonists. Historical records confirm that colonial authorities offered a bounty on Indian scalps. Hannah Dustin, for example, collected a monetary reward, and a pewter tankard in Salem. Redeemed scalps were hung along the walls of the town courthouse in full view of the public until the building was torn down in 1785. Dartmouth's Calloway said it is unclear whether New England tribes took scalps before contact with Europeans.
Yeah, see that what? Unclear.
Unclear.
Because it wasn't happening.
That's right.
We weren't doing that. The natives weren't doing that. That wasn't, that's ghoulish. That's not in our spirit to do that. Everything we did to the white man, we did because it was retaliation of things that they did to us.
Right.
A lot of natives later on started mutilating the bodies of so-called white people. That was after they did it to us.
Yep.
Okay? So it became a part of our practice. And then we began to believe, well, if you mutilate the body, which we were, the natives we were going off, we started going off too. We believed if you mutilated the body, that the person would go into the afterlife looking that way. But it was a humiliation thing because they did it to us. And we began to believe that. Because we thought, well, that was why they did it to us. You understand?
You're gonna humiliate your fucking ass back. It says, at least 2 tribal spokesmen say theirs did not. Mashantucket Pequot spokesman Buddy Gwynn says scalping was not a practice traditional to First Nations peoples until becoming a retaliatory act against colonists.
You see, one of the Pequot spokesmen, Mashantucket Pequot spokesman right here in Connecticut, Buddy Gwynn, that's a statement he made. Which that don't just go for his tribe, that goes for all of us. All the tribes that were here. We didn't practice scalping until the Europeans came, just like my uncle told me when I was a child.
Your uncle told you straight up?
Okay, we didn't practice that until the whites came. Esau, the Edomites, because they did it to us and it was a retaliatory thing. Just like the raping of white women. Okay?
I gotta read on, brother, because you just said this. Now, it says Narragansett Indians was there in Rhode Island. Narragansett Indians said that bodily mutilation was considered dishonorable until it was learned from Europeans in the mid-17th century. You were saying that the Gadites started chopping up the bodies because the Edomites did it to us. This is a Narragansett Indian saying that they weren't doing body mutilation until Esau was doing it to them, so they did it back.
That's right.
So it was all retaliation, like you said. It was such absolutionist arguments on both sides of the scalping question that led James Axtell to the issue some years ago. A historian at the College of William and Mary in Virginia, Axtell vividly remembers walking into New York City's former Hay Museum of the American Indian in the early 1970s and seeing human scalps hanging in a glass case. One was blonde, obviously a girl's, another had African hair, perhaps taken from a slave. There were probably Indian scalps there too, he says. Later stories started to circulate that the Europeans had invented scalping and that colonists had actually taught it to the Indians. Axtell paid little notice until he started hearing those stories from academics. At that point, he and fellow historian William Sturtevant decided it was time to sort out the record. Based on markings on skulls, drawings, linguistic clues, and the diaries of the 15th and 16th century explorers, their conclusions were ultimately published in a 1981 book, The European and Indian, which argues that the practice of scalping in North and South America, they're trying to say it predated the arrival of Christopher Columbus. That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
It's a lie, Walt.
It's a fucking lie.
The scripture said,
a lie.
Remember Yahweh Shai said John 8:44, where she was talking to wicked ass Israelites, but he was pertaining them to the white man. He had a father of lies, so-called, but that's really, overall, it's really talking about the so-called white man. When Yahweh Shai said, ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning. In other words, when Yahweh Shai was telling them, wicked ass niggas back then, that they were acting like the so-called white man, Esau, which goes back to really Cain, which was really the first so-called white man on the planet, after he was smitten with that leprosy, which later came back as Esau, which proves that they're liars. Alright?
I'll read that for you. John 8:44. Ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh of a lie, he speaketh of his own.
At that part right there, Yahweh Shai was talking about Esau.
Yep.
He was pertaining to the so-called white man, Esau. But he was saying, you niggas are acting just like your daddy, the so-called white man. Right now, you're acting like the children of the damn devil.
Right.
Because you're doing his will. Okay?
When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own.
That's talking about the so-called white man.
That's right.
That's talking about the so-called white man in particular. That's what that's talking about. The Edomites, Esau. Read on.
For he is a liar and the father of it.
That's it. You can stop right there. Close it on that. So, the documentation where the white man saying that the natives probably scalped before the Europeans got here, that's a lie. Because we proved in the scriptures that the so-called white man is a liar and the devil.
He's the father of
according to Yahweh Shai's words, and I'm going to believe Yahweh Shai over what the damn white man got to say, because I know that the white man's a devil. Okay?
And that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. You know what?
We hit the crux of it.
We hit the point on scalping, and I hope to you brothers of the elect you are edified. Edification came out, and we're going to elaborate on this topic some more. This will be a first part installation, and we'll come with another second concluding installation on scalping to finish it off. But we wanted to start and go into the information on the truth or the history of scalping here in the Americas, and to further expose the lies of the so-called white man. So through the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, we hope that the elect of Israel was edified by this, and furthermore another way of cutting down the lies of the so-called white man and exposing them through the spirit of the Lord. So with that, we're going to close out this installation, this first part installation on the history of scalping of the final American Indian uprising. Shalom.
Shalom.
Many generations now, we have suffered. The Washichu we spoke to, but they don't hear, they're deaf. The women, the children, the old ones, they suffer. You from the cities, you are our warriors, They're deaf. We must now walk in the sacred